Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am Catherine Mattice. I'm the founder and CEO of Stability Partners. Welcome to my Catherine's Corner office hours today. I have a wonderful woman here with me today, Lucy McCullum. And Lucy is with Gallagher Benefit Services. And I met Lucy not too long ago, and she is one of the few benefits brokers that's very focused on culture and the fact that benefits really play a role in culture. And so I was like, we got to talk. We got to have this conversation live. So thanks, Lucy, for joining me today.
Of course. Thanks for having me. This is my first LinkedIn Live. I'm excited about it. I'm also a little bit like hoping that my technology stays consistent. So
we'll work through it.
Yeah,
so everybody listening in, please, by all means, post your comments or questions, and Lucy will be happy to answer them. And yes, we've got slides, but we're going to have a good conversation for the next half hour around benefits. So Lucy, take it away.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Yeah, it's great to be here on LinkedIn Live. I'm Lucy McCullum. I am an employee benefits broker and total rewards evangelist. I'm very passionate about talking about rewards and benefits as a way to really support organizational objectives. And so, was really excited that Catherine invited me here today to discuss all things benefits. So I wanted to break it down into 3 segments today to discuss, right? I figured that I'd start out with the landscape right now of the employee benefits and sort of total rewards, perks market. We'll go through healthcare, ancillary benefits, total rewards and what those mean. We'll also sort of look at generational bucketing and why that's important as it pertains to employee benefits today. And then the next segment, we'll get into really tailoring those rewards to, to the organizational objectives and through internal goals, external goals, through, the people initiatives that you're trying to prioritize. And then finally, and my most favorite part of the discussion is around the importance of communication and education, because without communicating these benefits, no matter what you have, you really don't have much of an ROI, right? And if you're spending this much money on your healthcare, on your rewards, whatever you're calling it, you want to make sure that employees know about it and that they're excited about it and that they see it as a real, really valuable piece of the organization and why they're there.
And this is why we connected so well when we first met, because I have a communicating total rewards LinkedIn learning course. And then you were just kind of talking about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're women of my own heart. Like, don't just send out the horrible emails that nobody reads. There's so many other options.
I know.
For you to talk about that part.
I know. And so it is super exciting. And I think it's really a way to be intentional and whatever, we'll get into that. But first, landscape. So let's start out with talking about kind of level setting on the discussion today, right? Because there's a lot of words that are interchangeable. There's employee benefits, rewards, comp and benefits, comp package. And today I'm going to be digging into medical insurance, ancillary coverages, which are life, dental, disability, sort of the non-core other traditional offerings, and then perks. Medical is typically what leads the conversation, right? It is the largest spend. It's what organizationally is really the focus. And because it is so expensive, I think that's really the leading conversation. It's also very confusing and very misunderstood and really difficult to navigate for employees. I'm an employee benefits broker and I still have questions all the time. And so I can only imagine people that are, going about their jobs in other capacities when they actually have an event or have to go through enrollment and they're like, I have no idea. This is so frustrating. This is so confusing. My benefits aren't great, right? That's kind of what it all boils down to. If people don't understand it, then it's just, it's not doing anything for you. So these are some of the buzzwords that I throw on there because I think, 3/4 of the time employees aren't really understanding this stuff. So So think about whether or not you want to really, amplify the medical coverages within your organization, or if maybe in your organization, it's something where you want to drive more of the other rewards forward because you've got, I don't know, employees that have more affinity towards like the supplemental programs or disability, or it's really important for them and their family to have dental insurance. Think about really being aligned with what your employees care about. And I know that medical is the biggest spend, so it's always going to be there. But my point is, it doesn't have to be so frustrating, I guess. And then ancillary coverages, again, sort of everything else that are non-core, dental, vision, life, disability, and then these supplemental health or voluntary benefits, which have now become really popular. I think on this slide, what I want to impart is that there are different sort of ways to fund these benefits, right? And so, maybe paying 100% for all of these isn't your best move, right? Because maybe you want to take some of these dollars and shift them towards things that are more important to your organization. So, okay, you pay 100% of vision. Does that matter? Are you getting anything back for that? What's the bang of your buck there? So maybe that's
only like $30 or something, right?
Yeah. So exactly. Maybe you shift that, right? Like maybe you push that to employees to see if they really need it, they'll pay for it. And then they've got a little skin in the game, and you take those dollars and look at, a mental health resource or something like that. You can kind of shuffle around these dollars, and that's good to be reviewing. The other thing I would mention on this slide is just about the voluntary benefits. They have really kind of taken off over the last several years, and there are a lot of opportunity when it comes to enrollment platforms, technology credits, and different sort of value adds, I'd say, through these products. So it's something to consider maybe if you are looking at them on how to drive some more value within your portfolio of benefits plans.
Okay.
And then, finally, perks. There are so many. You really can make anything a perk these days, as long as you are willing to offer it at the workplace and possibly pay for it, right? It could be anything from the classic gym membership to pet insurance. Side note, I think gym membership is like the most highly requested perk and the most underutilized. So like you might want to scrap that one. I'm just saying. I don't really go to the gym anymore during the pandemic, but I'm just throwing that out there. So when you're looking at your the perks program, make sure you're looking at it holistically. So how are you looking at it from the physical and emotional lens? How are you looking at it through the financial lens, career well-being, social, communal well-being? Nowadays, there's a real focus on sort of that holistic organizational well-being. Your whole employee is coming to work. And so what are you offering at the workplace that's really going to connect with that employee to ensure that they feel like, you get them and, you feel the love, right? So if that is pet insurance, great. But just saying there's a whole lot of other perks that are out there that can be really interesting.
Lucy, do organizations offer a bit of a cafeteria plan with some of these types of things, where maybe it's like we're going to give you money for either a gym membership or pet insurance, and there's like a list, and that way people can choose based on what they're interested in?
Sure, like a defined benefit, or like a stipend management program. So that's becoming a really popular option as well, Catherine. I'm glad you brought that up. There are several companies now that are sort of the platform for these stipend programs. And essentially what the goal is to provide the dollar amount so that employees can really take whatever they want and utilize those dollars towards their healthcare expenses on their own. So instead of, doing the gym membership, which is offered at the employer is going to give them $300 a quarter for them to do with what they want. And the employee is going to go get, hiking boots because their idea of health is going for a hike outside. So that is a really great way to also sort of personalize the program without doing too much work.
And super important with all this talk about equity and inclusion, right? Everybody's going to have a different need. So
definitely. And you're never going to please everyone at all times. So I think that offering them dollars to do with what they want kind of does satisfy some of that.
Yeah.
Lastly, on the landscape, generational bucketing, I thought it was really kind of important to call out all the generations here, and typically sort of the programs that we see that we're gearing towards from a rewards and benefits view. Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, boomers, we've got everybody in the workforce now. And so it's making for some sort of interesting discussions, I guess, when you're looking at the benefits programs. And so a few things I would call out here. Gen Z, sort of the youngest generation right now, student loan reimbursement is really popular. So that's something that I think, is a consideration. However, the kind of counterpoint to that argument is we're offering student loan reimbursement for all of the young kids at the office. Hey, what about all of the, Gen Xers or boomers that have been here that already paid off their loans? What are we doing for them? So I think what I want to get across here is that you just want to sort of be equitable when you are looking at this stuff, and ensuring that if you are, pulling one lever for a certain generation, that maybe you're considering how to put something in their category as well. It doesn't have to be a perfect match for that person, but to show that you are providing, a 401k match or aging, dependent care support, that could sort of offset the argument being made that they're being left out in the cold.
I have a quick story. The 401k match reminds me of this. So I have a friend who is an attorney, and she's very successful. She's got, I think, 30 employees, no partners. It's just her. And she definitely takes very good care of her employees. But we were talking about how she was kind of frustrated because she had just done performance reviews for everyone. And part of that was to kind of go over the benefits that they were offering and what they were getting for compensation. And she was really hurt, I think, that people didn't seem to notice or celebrate all of this 401k matching that she was doing. And she sounded like giving a pretty good match. And so then I asked her, well, what are the different age ranges? Maybe not everyone cares. I think she kind of was like, but like if you have 23-year-olds, they probably want daycare or some student loan reimbursement. And so they're not going to be excited about the 401k. So I don't know what she did with that or whatever happened. It's a good example of the differences of generations.
Definitely. Yeah. And there's a lot here to consider. So again, I think just trying to really bucket out the people that are in your workforce is something we'll get into. So now really, diving into tailoring your rewards based on organizational goals. Not an earth-shattering concept, right? I think that we all understand that it's important to have the right plans for the right people based on what your goals look like as a business and where you're going both, today and, 2 years from now. But just to put some intentionality around what those goals are is really going to help you justify what you're putting together from a plan design standpoint. Mm-hmm. So I started off in this section. We'll go through sort of the business goals, both internal and external, and then we'll look at sort of the people aspect, right? So how are we? Who are we speaking with? Who's our internal audience, and how do they engage? So up first, I have us starting out with internal goals. I put these 4 on here because these are typically what I tend to hear most from my clients, that they want to, keep their people. Retention is huge right now. They are looking to recruit, bring people in. It's like the Wild West out there with the Great Resignation. Employee engagement is always a big one. How are we keeping employees engaged? Again, especially nowadays when everyone is sort of working in different, homes, offices, cafes, wherever they are. The other one is amplifying or defining your culture. And then lastly, implementing or increasing your DE&I efforts. And you can look through the DE&I lens for your benefits programs. There's a lot of ways and a lot of considerations on how to be intentional for increased DE&I initiatives. And that's just really important these days and something that's being discussed over and over, seemingly at every client.
And I just want to add too, I know, I see a lot that HR tends to operate in silos where their initiatives seem to run in silos. There's the benefits silo, the DE&I silo, the engagement silo. We're going to do an employee engagement survey, and then we're going to do some DEI stuff over here. All of that stuff is related, as is benefits. So if you're going to claim, like many organizations now are, that they're focused on DEI, then that does have to be part of the conversation. And you need some diverse people on the team who are talking about benefits to make sure you're understanding what everybody's needs are. So I'm always talking about really synthesizing all of these things. They're not separate from each other. And I think benefits is definitely one place. It's like, it's over there. Everybody hates it, even HR, but we really need it. I don't know any HR people that are like, oh, great, it's open enrollment. I'm so excited.
I know, but it can be different. It can be better than that.
Yes,
I can help. No, that's a great point. Everything really is interwoven. And I think if you're talking about increasing DE&I, it's not just checking a box. It's woven into the fabric of what you're talking about and in everything that you're doing. So, and benefits is another one of those topics. So it's a great point. So I'll just run through quickly these internal goals where benefits and rewards can really support these internal goals. So if you're looking to, hire in large quantity, or if you're hiring really quickly, maybe you're early stage, you've got a capital infusion and suddenly it's like, okay, now we're trying to hire and bring everyone in. Well, I just read a stat that 63% of job applicants ranked benefits as their second most important to have at the job. I mean, second. So I got to assume pay is one, but like benefits are important. And I know that we sort of think of them as like, oh God, open enrollment, we have to deal with the benefits, but let's try and be more consistent in the approach. So if you're looking to maximize your talent spend by leveraging the existing people, as we know, it's always less expensive to keep the people you have versus bringing new people on. If you've got a retention problem or an inclusion or culture problem, if you're going through, the great resignation, as we all are today, then, you can be looking at benefits and rewards. Employee engagement. This is for, if you've got folks that are less than engaged, if you've got a limited budget to hire, if you really want to amplify the benefits and rewards offering to keep employees engaged, there's a way to do that. If you've got maybe pressure from management or the executive team around validation on the current internal spend, then you're going to want to prove that you have employees that are becoming engaged because of these benefits, and that you can really demonstrate that and prove that internally. They can help with culture and or branding. Especially nowadays, again, I feel like I keep saying especially nowadays, but high pandemic, we're all,
is there something different about right now?
As I sit in my house with my 2-year-old locked outside the room. If there's no, if everyone's kind of everywhere, you've lost a bit of the culture feel where it was a little bit easier when everyone was on site to get together, to do team building activities. If you have recently grown or brought on new employees, maybe you're under new control, there's different management involved, or just, kind of a faded feeling of culture and relationships with the hybrid remote work model. It's going to be, important to try and look at your benefits to see what you can be offering. A lot of mission-based and socially aware benefits are now coming into the forefront. There's a couple of different virtual volunteer opportunities that I see that a lot of our like Gen Z millennial population are really passionate about, and that really resonates with them when you're willing to pay for something like that. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, again, as we spoke to, if you have no DEI plans, you're looking to drive more intention in this realm. If you want to signal to specific groups or attract, more diverse talent, you can use benefits to support these considerations. There is network access that's really important to look at, specific healthcare needs, a lot of these member advocacy sort of interest groups now that are inclusive of the insurance carrier model. So what you're paying for is sort of these new member advocates that are being deployed through the insurance carriers. So mental health member advocacy, transgender advocacy. There's going to be advocacy for family planning and fertility. Like they're all included now with some of these insurance carriers. So it's something you can look under the hood and be more intentional around.
Awesome.
And then, how are you aligning these plans with your external goals? What are your long-term goals from a company standpoint? I think sometimes we always are looking internally. So just important to really understand where your organization makes money. It can be as simple as that, right? Like what is the job function or the operation that makes money? Okay, well then what are they really excited about, or what would really, attract those kind of hires? Understanding where you're at in your organizational life cycle, and really kind of understanding where the future changes might be and how your business is being financed is going to give you an idea of maybe where to spend versus where to hold back. So if you're spending 100%, on your medical premiums, okay, is that sustainable for the long run? Like, how are you going to be growing and merging or having any sort of M&A activity? Like, you just want to consider that, right? Yeah. So I won't run through all those, but think it's something that's important to touch upon. And then the last piece here is really aligning benefits to your people. So again, not earth shattering, right? We all want to think that we've got the benefits that our people are excited about, but it's really important that we are looking at this as almost a refresh, or whether you're planning for, 2023, putting your strategy meetings together. Who are you solving for? Who's your internal audience? Think back to the generational bucketing slide and make it that simplistic, right? We offer a workforce evaluation tool that we go through to look at the different, buckets of people within an organization to figure out what's important to them from a benefits and rewards conversation. And then how do they engage? Are they best, on email? Are they best on, a social channel? Are they best on, Slack, Instagram, whatever it is, just find a way.
All of the above.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Just hit them on every channel that you possibly can.
Well, in sales, they say it's 7 hits before they even get their attention. And I think because people, they need benefits, but it drives their engagement at your organization, but then nobody likes to really do the process. And those horrible emails that I think HR used to send, hopefully not so much anymore. It's the same kind of thing. Like if you want people to get excited about the benefits and you're communicating about them, then you do have to hit all those channels and make it fun and snappy,
and make it simple. Ends. Yes. Like make it simple and make sure that you are like in and out, because people have, I'm going to say the memory of a goldfish. And I really think I read that somewhere, that it's like, we have the same like attention span as a goldfish or something like that.
I'm not surprised these days. Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Right. Exactly. So, you're really just, again, things to consider when you're looking at your internal customer, your employee, your audience, whatever you're calling them, doing a refresh or a reset on the demographics, their cultural expectations, geographically, where do they sit, right? We're working everywhere now, like I alluded to. So where are those folks and what's important to them based on where they do work and live? And then the operational roles that are most prevalent within the organization is something to consider. And then what are cultural norms for this communication? How are these folks engaging? Are you using TikTok for a heavy boomer population? Like maybe you are, and maybe that's fine. Like my mom's on TikTok, so, and she loves it. So she'd probably listen to you putting something about when benefits enrollment is, if you're putting it on there. But my point is, being facetious, but really figure out how these folks are going to engage now and in the future, and then use that in sort of a multifaceted approach. So hit them on social, hit them on Slack, send the email, put it on the intranet site, get a communication portal, invest in technology. All of these things, you can't do enough because people don't understand it. So you need to be constantly touching them with this information so that it becomes, it's just subconsciously back there in their brain at some point, and that they know what they have. Lastly, my favorite part, communication and education. I could talk about this all day. I know we've only got a few minutes, so I'll zip through this, but you do not have an ROI if your employees don't know what's being offered. It's just, that's it, right? So you could have a Cadillac plan, or you could have a middle of the road plan. If you have a middle of the road plan that you are, consistently and constantly communicating, it's a lot of C's, then people are going to feel better about what you're putting in front of them versus having a Cadillac plan where you pay 100% of everything and people have no idea what it is. They just say, oh, my employer pays for it. Well, then there's no skin in the game. There's no understanding, and they just don't really have any kind of value about what you're spending on. Right. So it's really important to figure out how to go about being intentional and structured in your approach to communication and education. So think about what needs educating, right? Is it plan design within the medical plan? Is it carrier value-added programs? I bet any of you in HR right now could go figure out who your life and disability carrier is and go ask them for their value-added programs. Those are no cost. There's probably 2 to 5 within your package, and you can go and take those and send them out to employees tomorrow and say, look at all these things. Legal assist, identity theft protection, travel assistance, go do that. Like, you're welcome. And then maybe something around like cost share benchmarking. I think this is a big one. Total compensation statements, those really resonate. When you show employees that in addition to the base salary and, compensation you're offering, you're also spending, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 for them based on, medical, dental, life, disability perks. When you get those line items out there and show employees what you're really offering in a total compensation statement, it can be really impactful, and people understand, wow, my employer is spending that much more money on me. I mean, at that point, there's really a lot of goodwill that's generated from it.
Yeah.
How will you communicate effectively? Again, you want to just consistent, structured communication project plan. And I think this is where a lot of employers tend to fall down, because they are working towards getting the right benefits package, the right perks. You're looking at the cost structure, cost modeling, trying to please a lot of different people within the organization based on the generational bucketing. But everyone sort of falls off when it comes to then also working on a project plan for communication. And that is where I think a lot of you could really benefit from putting something together that is annual and that is really thoughtful, that is multifaceted. There's a lot of technology resources out there now, decision support tools, communication hubs, apps, things that can help out and that are, potentially, a cost, but they could bring a lot of ROI back to the population based on better utilization and based on better understanding of what the rewards package looks like.
And not losing so many people if they have a full understanding. One thing I talk about in my LinkedIn Learning course is HR. Perhaps you want to pair up with your marketing team if you have one. Because HR, especially if you're functioning in a world of benefits and payroll, and that's kind of your world, maybe get that creative brain and pair up with them.
Great
and
idea.
Then you can market and celebrate your benefits and your total rewards package with their help, so that they can help you brand it and talk about it and help you create a communication plan, so that I like how you said a project plan, so that, you have something throughout the year. Maybe every week you're sending out a funny little meme about insurance, or a TikTok about some other thing that you're doing.
Who doesn't love a meme? That's great.
I know, everybody loves a
meme. So again, I just want to wrap up. I want to be cognizant of everyone's time, but with the communication and education, really trying to figure out what your internal customer, what's important to them, how to meet them where they're at, making it simple and consistent. Try and pick, three topics a year that you really want to drive home, right? I mean, don't overwhelm yourself out of the gate. I know it can be exciting to think about, oh, we do this and we do this and we do this, but try and pick 3 and then really hone in on how you're going to approach those, so that folks know, oh, okay, this is, mental health, DEI, and financial well-being. Like those are three right there that you could pick and dig into based on what you have currently and how you're looking to take it to the next level, and then start really prodding employees with that, like cattle. Just make sure that they understand what you're offering, because it's really important. And then lastly, make sure that if you do choose some kind of technology resource, that you have one in a partner that has the data-driven model, right? So that you understand, if you are doing all this good work and putting all this effort into resources, that there is some kind of data that's going to show you what was working, maybe what wasn't working, and how to pivot from there. Don't just take anecdotal stories of someone at open enrollment being like, oh yeah, like I really liked the EAP offering or something like that, right? I know it's easy to do because there's a lot going on, but try to find the platform that has the data-driven solutions so that you can track that engagement and know how to go from there.
And add that to your employee surveys is another possibility.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about surveys. We need more time next time.
We can do a part 2.
There you go. So lastly, and this is the last slide, innovation and technology resources. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but I did want to leave you with something to consider, whether it be a decision management tool like NAYA, Showcase, which is a virtual benefit fair and year-round communication portal, Alex, Flimp, Health Wallet. Let me know if you feel like chatting about any of these, because I think it's worthwhile to put these as part of your project plan when you are communicating with your employees.
Yeah. And then Christy asked a question if you'd share the deck with her. So Christy, I'll say, if you message Lucy through LinkedIn, or if her email address is right here, then she can share them with you.
Great. Yeah. And I'm sure you're only going to remember like 10% of what we just talked about, which is fine. I get it. If you do remember only, this one thing, it's really to be intentional around your communication efforts, because that is going to immediately bring value, even if you didn't do a single thing to your benefits plan, but you talked and enhanced and amplified a lot of what is in play for employees. It's just it will help you, if nothing else.
Awesome. Thank you, Lucy, so much for joining me on this. I really appreciate hearing everything you had to say. Lots of great information.
It was a pleasure. I'm so glad to do it. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to send me an email. I'm happy to